Hey, good day guys, welcome back to the channel. I had an overwhelming amount of requests to explain the dairy quota system and the supply management that we have here in Canada. It's the only country in the world that has it, and it's been working ever since the 1970s, I believe it came into effect. The system makes it so there's enough milk for all Canadians by not overproducing or underproducing. So one of the main key components of the supply management system is it allows for the farmers, the Canadian farmers, to produce just the right enough amount of milk for all Canadians. Not too much and not too little. That's what the system's in play for. So the farm in Ontario that's dumping his milk, he's saying he's forced to dump it, is he's allotted a certain amount of quota, a license to produce a certain amount of milk per month, per year. If he goes over that, he gets penalized. That's why there's a quota system. That's why we pay for that quota to have that license to produce that milk. Countries that don't have this system, the quota system, like the US, Australia, New Zealand, they often have to provide an extra support for farms through subsidies. This means, an example, in the States south of us, consumers pay twice for the dairy. Once through their taxes, so on their taxes they pay it because the government gives subsidies to the farmers, so that money has to come from somewhere. So obviously the consumer will end up paying in some form back to the government those taxes for the subsidies to the farmers. Canadian milk, as you see here, these girls are producing here, are under strict guidelines when it comes to antibiotics and growth hormones, etc. Like the production that we have as farmers on farm responds specifically to the demand of consumers. So if there's a demand for milk, we would get an increase by an incentive, or we would get an allotment of more quota to produce that milk. So there's a very consistent level of production throughout the year without relying on government subsidies, and it's a predictable income for us farmers because we know what we're going to be producing, we know what our paycheck's going to be, and we can count on that income. Also, another thing I want to point out too is with cows, you can't just turn off the tap for a cow to produce milk. So with the Coca-Cola system factory, Frito-Lay chip factory, you can turn off, the amount of Coca-Cola that's being produced. With cows, these girls have to be milked twice a day, every single day, or they will get sick, they will get mastitis, they'll have all sorts of health problems. This video is just to give some perspective on the industry. There's a video going around, a farmer posted online. It went viral, and he is saying he has to dump the milk because he's being told to. Well, that's a big lie. He has a quota, same as I do. He's got 260 cows. I milk about just under 60. I'm only allotted to milk a certain amount of cows, or a certain amount of liters I get to produce to get shipped, that gets picked up twice a day here. And he has the same thing. He has more quota, he can produce more milk, but we all have to follow the same guidelines. If I'm producing too much milk, and I can see that, we have quite the fluctuation here in BC, where we can go 15 days under production and 5 days over. So it's quite the fluctuation. So you can see daily production if you're going to be over or under. If I'm going to be over, I'm going to obviously get rid of some older cows that are not producing much. I'm going to get rid of cows that I can't get in calf anymore. I make those decisions based on how much milk I'm allowed to ship. Consumers enjoy a stable price of milk, except in the last, year that it went up because of inflation. Our costs are way up. In the US, for an example, so they can produce as much milk as they want. So when you get an oversupply of milk, the price goes down. That's just a given. The dairy farmers in Canada, we don't rely on any subsidies that the states do, that the dairy farmers in the states do. We don't get any subsidies for that milk fluctuation that goes up and down in the states. By the way, guys, the average price of milk in Canada is lower than the milk in both Australia and New Zealand, and even parts in the States. I know the prices of milk might be a little lower close to the border, but you go travel down into Seattle, Oregon, different states, milk price is higher than the milk price in Canada. Another fun fact is all Canadian milk is produced without any growth hormones. Other countries such as the US, they inject their animals with a growth hormone that keeps that cow from milking without having another calf. But we get tested every single day. I'm pretty sure the states do too, but I think we have stricter numbers that we have to follow. So the supply management system in Canada has avoided the governments from paying the dairy sector subsidies for producing milk, because it's a very costly adventure. These cows here that you see behind me here eat a lot of food. It costs a lot of money to feed these girls. There's a lot of work that goes involved in milking these girls, feeding them, taking care of maintenance around the barn here. There's just too many to list. I can go on and on and on. I just wanted to make a short video. So in the European Union and in the US, it's a general practice for the governments to subsidize the dairy farmers there, just because they can't make a go out of selling the milk at the market price. The supply management ensures that farms can be profitable to a way that they can pay their bills, but also to the consumers that get a high quality end product. It provides a product without shortages and without a surplus. Well, that's about it for that. But this gives you a little bit of a sneak peek on what supply management is and what it means for Canadian farms. I just wish other farmers wouldn't be bashing their own industry. It's just going to cut them in their own fingers. I just don't get it. But anyway, thanks for watching today's video, guys. Hopefully this little talk might be a little boring for some of you, but yeah, another thought I had here while I'm walking back to the house is to just let the public know that without supply management, eventually the taxes will go up, because the governments will have to in some way would have to compensate us for producing this milk here, because even at the prices we're getting today, it barely pays. Just another couple little nuggets. I printed off a couple news articles from the years in the past. Back in 2008 in Germany, the Federation estimated that around 10.6 million gallons of milk, up to 60% of the country's production, was dumped. The guy's name that was on the article is a farmer called Mr. Gerloff. Said he just had enough money to pay his employees, the mortgage and operating cost, even with $100,000 in European subsidies. That's one article from Europe. Another one was in, I'm just reading this off, so if I'm not looking at the camera, that's why. Sarah Brauman from the US News Today. His name was Mr. Rexing, and he says, the cows don't shut off. They produce 365 days a year. That's what they do. And farmers harvest it. It's what we do. It's not like it can't be put in a silo like grain, and it can't be donated without processing like fruits and vegetables. Another one on the Wall Street Journal. This is back in 2008. Farmers in the US are pouring out tens of millions of gallons of excess milk amid a massive glut that has slashed prices and has filled warehouses with cheese. So let's not forget, back in the US, the government offered to buy, I don't know how many billions of dollars worth of cheese to dispose of it. All this stuff is on Google. I just did a Google search, and that's what came up. 43 million gallons worth of milk were dumped in fields, or have been lost on truck routes, or discarded at plants at first arrival. This happened for 8 months in 2016, according to the data from the U.S. Department of Agriculture. That's enough milk to fill 66 Olympic swimming pools. Producers are working on finding new uses for the access, like getting more milk into school lunches and revamped tacos and egg muffins. But many can't afford even to transport raw milk to market at the current prices, which have plunged 36% on average since the prices hit a record in 2014. Oh, here's the numbers here. $20 million of cheddar cheese to help struggling dairy farmers. The second time it has intervened in the market in less than 3 months. And I printed off a chart here. I'm going to show you. I'll add it to the video. But I'll just show you here the dumped milk in the US. So without the quota system, guys, you can see around the world spilt milk. I'll add this picture in the video and I'll leave it there for a few seconds for you to see, but we're talking in 2016, over a surplus of 40 million gallons were dumped. And a quick Google search will lead you right to the article that I found. So I think Canadians, both farmers, consumers, processors, we need this supply system, supply management. That's what it's called. It's to manage the supply of milk, and it's the reason why it's working. We farmers have to do a better job of getting this data out to the public so they understand there's not too many negatives that I see that are against the supply management. There's too many positives, too many pros, in my opinion. If you think dismantling the supply management system is going to decrease the price of milk, you're completely wrong. There's evidence here. In Australia and New Zealand, when they dismantled their system, prices have gone up, while revenues for the farmers went down or stayed the same. The average domestic price for 2 liters of milk in New Zealand jumped 11.3%. With this video that I'm posting here, we need to all get the facts. Everybody needs to be educated. Everybody needs to know exactly what this system is. We're concerned as farmers, having our industry that we love and hold dear. If we didn't love what we do, we wouldn't be doing it, because we're not getting rich making money milking cows. I'll tell you that right now. There's a huge overhead cost. So it's time that, you know, the people, that's why I'm making this video, to get the facts, or at the very least hear our side of the story. Unfortunately, some farmers, they don't even understand their own industry. Well, at the end of the day, the supply management system that we have here in Canada doesn't raise the prices for consumers at all. The farmers do not set the retail prices. It's the retailers and restaurants have always charged to consumers for what they think and feel the market will bear. The price paid by the consumers, by customers, is related to a lot of factors: retailer competition, brand positioning, cost of competing items. None of these factors are related in any way to the share of the price that the farmer gets at the end of the day, which typically represents a very small fraction of the final price. Dismantling the quota system again will not help. You look back on history, New Zealand, Australia, their prices actually have gone up since they dismantled their quota system. So that's not the answer to get rid of it. I think it's a great benefit to both the consumer and the farmer to keep it in place. We just have to be more educational. At the very least, is hear our side of the story and how we, the farmers, view the supply management. Hopefully you guys learned a little bit more about supply management. But anyway, that's all I got for today. I just wanted to add that to this video here. So gives a little bit of context of world events, world milk dumping, and I'm pretty sure the States is still dumping milk. If you like the video, give it a share, give it a thumbs up, and keep coming back to the channel. There's always more content coming. Thanks for watching again.